tonight. Civil servants receive more in their pay packets. Tenants owe land custodian millions of dollars in lease money. And Vunindelo Bridge open again to traffic. Very good evening. As announced in the 2014 budget, about 30,000 civil servants received more in their pay packets yesterday. This is the first payout from the $92 million set aside for the new increase in public service salaries. Sharon Wilson reports.
It has been a long time coming. Civil servants now with more income at their disposal, as the Line Ministry disbursed about $21 million in the first payout alone. However, 40 civil servants from the Ministry of Health were not so lucky. The Ministry of Finance salary section working overtime to ensure everyone got paid on time.
That has been brought to our attention by the Ministry of Health. We have discussed this with PSC and this will be adjusted in pay too.
Government has disbursed $3 million more than what it usually pays out in a single pay.
Our last two pays for 2013 were done a week after the other. But the amount of salary that was paid to all staff covered them up till the 31st of December.
All government departments are advised to inform the Ministry of Finance of any anomalies with staff pay. Sherry-Ann Wilson, Fiji One News.
The Itoke Land Trust Board is owed millions of dollars in lease money. Agricultural and residential tenants make up a large number of tenants who have failed to abide by lease agreements. As Halitestat reports, the board has issued a stern warning to these tenants.
More than 3,000 cases of defaulting Itoke Land Trust Board tenants are currently before the Magistrate Court. These tenants owe close to $10 million to TLTB. General Manager Ali Patengetaki says the TLTB will come down hard on such tenants.
We will meet them in court if they continue not to pay. We are embarking on TV advertisements now. We want them to know that we won't allow the landowners to be abused.
The amount was higher at the beginning of last year. However, the board was able to recover close to 40% by the end of the year.
We achieved a 40% target. As I said, 25 million was owing in the 1st of January 2013. By the end of 2013, we have collected over 15 million. So again, that is quite a good achievement.
Gethaki says this is a serious concern for the board since the welfare of landowners is at stake.
Now that is a very bad sign for Fiji, and I think tenants have got to be honest. Tenants have got to prioritize what is priority, and I suggest to them that their priority is to pay their rent.
Tenants have been urged to clear their areas as soon as possible. Halitestat, Fiji One News.
The Itoke Lands Trust Board hopes to strengthen its Landowners Affairs Unit. The unit has a specific task, and that's to empower landowners.
The Landowners Affairs Unit was set up some 3 years ago by the Itoke Land Trust Board. Now undergoing a revamp, the board is decentralizing the unit this year.
Not only in Suba at head office, we'll have a unit in each region. So we'll be appointing a couple of senior staff to be responsible for that.
The unit will now be involved in empowering landowners to participate in economic development.
We want the landowners to come in, to come and talk to us, so that because we've got a lot of that. Information is power. You know, without information you are powerless. So these are the information that they will have that can drive them to do better than what they are doing right now.
The board says that landowners are now becoming more aware of the importance of savings. Some landowners have even allowed the TLTB to invest their money.
We need senior people to be advising the landowners on how we deal with the tenants, how deal with leases and all that. So those are some of the things that we are looking forward to doing in 2014.
The board has also received positive feedback from the landowners regarding provisions in the 2013 Constitution that guaranteed their rights. Halitestat, Fiji One News.
The Bonindilo Bridge in Wailoku outside Suva has been opened again, but only traffic will be allowed through. Early this week, the Fiji Roads Authority closed the bridge after engineers identified serious corrosion in the bridge's supporting steel beams. FIA Acting Chief Executive Officer Dale Nichols said that despite this development, only small vehicles and pedestrians are able to use the bridge. Nichols adds that the engineers are assessing the possibility of buses and other large vehicles using the bridge as well. He says that they are working to address the issue before the first school term gets underway. Fiji Airways has today unveiled its 5-year strategic plan. The plan includes expanding the airline's route network through key airline partnerships, increasing operating profits and passenger numbers, as well as growing the number of aircraft and available seats. Sharon Wilson reports.
The 5-year plan is the first strategic plan for the airline. The plan includes input from management, customers, people and stakeholders. A major area, the improvement of customer services with changes to management to help facilitate this.
The on-time performance for Fiji Airways in the months June, July and August was between 50 and 60%. Now, in the months since September until December, we released the results before yesterday. We have an on-time performance for these 4 months in average above 80%, which makes the service much more reliable.
The airline will increase its fleet size by 25% with the purchase and leasing of 5 new aircrafts.
This year, in May, with a new ATR 72, which will be operated by Fiji Link, Pacific Sun until now. In 2015, we get another 737. In 2016, we may get another A330 for long haul. In 2017, we get another 737.
This basically increases cabin capacity by 30%.
This is not a plan where we try to grab market share for our competitors. This is a plan to develop tourism in Fiji and develop tourism in Fiji and develop traffic in Fiji in a sustainable, profitable way, which is the opposite of dumping prices.
Asia now the fastest growing market.
We have now increased the frequency to Hong Kong from 2 to 3 a week. Also the third frequency is a very good success, very good for the bookings. And of course other Asian markets are there. We need now to carefully examine whether we fly to Singapore or we fly to Shanghai or we fly to Narita, Japan. And we can only do so, and we will not do this trial and error, we just fly there and look what happens.
Sharon Wilson, Fiji One News.
Experts who are currently working with Elections Office staff are here for a specific reason, and that's to train locals. Attorney General Ayasai Kayum says that over the next 4 to 6 years, we should have appropriately skilled people to handle these jobs.
Experts currently working with the official at the election office have been passing on knowledge to local staff. Attorney General Ayasai Kayum says these people will then take over from the experts in a few years' time.
So we hope to, in 4 to 6 years' time, have Fijians doing this job. And as the consultants themselves have said, that they want to build capacities locally. They're not here to take away Fijian jobs, but they're here to do jobs that cannot be done. And if we identify the right people to fill in those positions and build those capacities, they will be able to take over those jobs eventually.
Said Kayum adds that we currently don't have the right people to carry out the work these experts are currently doing.
The elections office needs to be dealt with in an apolitical manner. It's not a political organization. For the first time, we have now a government that's saying that the elections office needs to be completely independent, which is a good thing. It's a very positive thing. Most elections offices throughout the world where there is transparency and credibility, they are completely independent.
As for the election office, government has mapped out a clear path for what can be expected from them.
We need to have career paths. We need to have good people locally, Fijians, who can do these jobs. I mean, we now have consultants from overseas because we cannot do that locally. That's the nuts, that's the crux of it.
The New Zealand and Australia government, as well as the European Union, are providing experts who are currently working with the election office. Ndrobu Kailangi, Fiji One News.
There is still no confirmation on the number of overseas monitors who will be in the country in September for the general election. So far, only the Melanesian Spearhead Group are the lone confirmed monitoring team. Ndrobu Kailangi with the details.
There's no confirmation yet regarding the overseas election monitors expected here in September. While we are still 8 months away from the general election, our MSG partners are the first group who have been given the green light to be part of the monitoring process.
This has not been decided. As you know, the only observer group that has been sanctioned, if you like, by government has been the Melanesian group that the Prime Minister discussed last year.
It is likely that other stakeholders like the European Union, who have monitored past election, could also send teams to monitor the election as well.
In respect of other countries or organizations that have talked about observer groups, we have said to them that's something to be discussed later. At the moment, the entire focus is on resourcing the elections office, getting the procedures and systems in place, ensuring that the fraud that took place in some of the constituencies in the 2006 elections don't happen.
Government says this is part of the process to have free and fair election in September.
It is critical that the staff in the elections office be appointed on merit, on a transparent basis. They need to be people who are completely apolitical, have credibility, integrity, because these are some of the fundamental issues that faced the previous elections.
In the 2006 election, the European Union monitoring team noted some irregularities in the process. Ndrobukelangi, Fiji One News.
Still to come tonight, young voters gear up for elections. And political party waits on elections rules. Hello again. The elections is also expected to draw a lot of first-time voters, and awareness sessions for voters between 18 and 21 years has already started. Here in the capital, Transparency International is taking a lead role in civic voter education. Myron Williams reports.
Recent electoral reforms include changing of the voting age from 21 to 18 years. So far, 544,000 people have registered to vote in the September national elections. A significant percentage of these are youths. Transparency International Fiji are now educating these young voters. First-time voters are being enlightened on the different processes of elections, democracy and good governance.
The workshop is aimed at inculcating skills to leaders on accountable and transparent leadership because we're having the elections coming up in September, and we felt that we needed to give them sort of the skills of critical thinking so that when they go out and vote and in their own personal lives, they'd be able to use those skills to be able to choose leaders who have integrity and issues and anti-corruption.
Many 18-year-olds who will be voting for the first time this year were just 10 years old during the last elections in 2006, and they're quite eager to have their say come September.
I'm really excited about voting this year, and the types of leaders I want to vote for is the ones who are truthful, who has integrity.
When I'm voting, the first thing is that I have to do is that not look at the person, like does the person have power or not, but what the person actually contributes to the economy and contributes to me as a youth especially. Like what he has done to better the lives of children and youths and the living facilities and other services providing to us.
These young people are now anticipating political parties' choice of candidates and manifestos, and are now well aware of the qualities to look for in a good leader.
It helps me very much. Helps me to choose a good leader, as in to know the characteristics of a good leader, to know the democracy that can be provided by a good leader, and to know more about a good government and what a good government can provide.
So far, only 4 political parties have registered for the elections, all hoping to get as many seats as possible in the country's 50-member parliament. Myron Williams, Fiji One News.
One major political entity says they will decide their list of candidates once the electoral laws are finalized. SODELPA General Secretary Pio Tambewalu says while they are happy with the response from those wanting to contest the elections under their banner, they still have to wait before releasing any candidate names.
The Social Democratic Liberal Party is waiting on the election office to finalize the election legislation before releasing the names of their candidates for election. It's only after that is done that they will plan their campaign.
Although we got a lot of candidates in, but some candidates are waiting. They want to know the rules and regulations for elections, how the voting system is being conducted, whether there will be changes to the constitution. Before they said there were 4 constituencies, then they reverted to 1. Whether they go back to 4, those are the technical questions even candidates are asking.
So DELPA has attracted a variation of candidates from all communities. The response to call for expression of interest has been quite overwhelming.
We're looking at women, we're looking for sections of communities. But as I said, even some candidates are waiting for the rules and regulations, so that some of them are in fact in employment. So to leave their employment, they really need to know the definitiveness of the election, of course, the rules that cover it.
Most of those who have applied to contest the election are also waiting on the rules of the election to be released,
so that they can measure their chances, as it were, to be fair to them and to be fair to the candidates, to the political parties. I think they really need to put out the electoral decree pretty quickly that explains the rules for candidates, the rules for political parties, the rules for campaign.
So DELPA has named their party president as well. Rubukelangi, Fiji One News.
Police officers who have been abroad on tour of duties are undergoing a reintegration process. This is to allow them to debrief and share experiences while at the same time getting up to speed with what's happening locally in their absence.
These officers have been abroad for the last 12 months and are now undergoing a reintegration program. It basically brings them up to par with what's been happening in the country. This workshop aims to do just that.
Various heads of units to come in and just brief them about what's been happening here. As stated by the acting commissioner, is that yes, they fulfilled their obligations on the UN front, but now with all those skills and all those experiences that they've picked up, the onus is on them to come back here, go back to the various units, various divisions, and ensure that the knowledge that they've gained is also used here on the local front.
The officers are expected to apply what they have learned during their tour of duty. In sharing their experiences, some of the officers revealed that adaptation was a major issue, while for others, it was a time for reflection.
Fiji Police Force, most of the time we cry for technology and such things that may help us in our work, but from Liberia and back here in Fiji, I believe it's the very basics that we always ignore, but when we consider that, it really helps us through in our daily work.
Language barrier was a major issue coupled with other challenges. Having served in areas with higher crime rates, some of the officers took this as motivation to do better.
When you come back, it boosts our morale, especially to come and work again back in the Fiji Police Force in Fiji. It pushes us to be faithful in the work, and you have to work hard.
Serving abroad also gave them an indication of the gap that exists between the countries they were deployed to compared to home.
In terms of economic, in terms of structural development, and likewise the environment. We are far better than.
The one-year experience also fostered new relations between these officers with their overseas counterparts. Reviver for Fiji One News.
Inbound travel management company Pacific Destinations last night celebrated its 15th year's anniversary. Prime Minister Commodore Porenge Bainimarama said the company has made a good impression on the local tourism industry. The company, a joint venture between New Zealand and Fijian owners, also welcomed 2 new coaches to its fleet of transport, which keeps the tourism industry interconnected. Bainimarama says the progress of every tourism company contributes to the industry as a whole.
It's a collective effort, and we grow stronger as we continue to support and challenge each other to keep pushing the industry forward. In this way, each time a step is taken, big or small, to achieve higher standards and improve visitors' experiences, brand Fiji is strengthened.
Tropical cyclone Ian, which is heading towards Tonga, has intensified to Category 4. The Nandi Weather Office says while the potential for another cyclone to form in the region is low at the moment, strong winds can be expected from the tropical cyclone.
So it's already reaching a Category 3 at the moment, starting from Category 1 then 2. but it is intensified to be a category 3. And it's going to just start to slowly track towards the southeast and go towards Tonga. So that means there is no, as it goes southeast, there will be no threat for Fiji.
Tunraki says those in the Lau group should expect gusts between 90 to 100 knots.
Warning for the Tonga Fiji group is still maintaining it. It's due to the tightening of the wind gradients, still at the moment. And we are maintaining the 25 knots to 35 knots gusting, 50 knots gusting over the Fiji waters or the Lau waters.
The high rate of suicide cases over the past few years is forcing a major rethink from local authorities. Often reflecting a breakdown in social values and support systems, police hope to take a different approach to the age-old problem in 2014.
Suicides and attempted suicides continues to be a cause for concern for authorities. But it's become even more worrying now that given that a few cases now involves children. Last year, police recorded 16 suicide cases involving children under 16 years of age. 19 cases reported involved those between the ages 17 and 25.
When we talk about the issue of suicide or attempted suicide, the fact that a person has taken his life or somebody is contemplating taking their own life, that should be a serious concern for all of us. And when we analyze the issue, then we find out that these are issues that can easily be solved through dialogue.
Out of the 100 suicide cases, the Western Division recorded the highest number amongst men and women compared to other divisions. Experts say that a lot needs to be done to change people's mindset when dealing with this issue.
People must learn to be more understanding of each other, because most of the problems arise from either romantic disputes, financial problems. Those who, unfortunately, some of our youth are actually resorting to such measures, because there's some instances where they have an argument with their parents and then they feel that there's no other alternative.
Addressing this issue will be anything but easy, and authorities feel that a holistic approach is needed.
We have other organizations, we have other government organizations, civil society, NGOs, those who we know can help us, because we are an organization that is not equipped to deal with such issues. You know, you need people who are professionals, you need people who know how to deal with this in a more in-depth manner.
5 suicide cases have been recorded this year compared to 3 for the same period last year. Reviver for O, Fiji One News.
And stay with us, we have regional news coming up. As we mentioned a little earlier, Tonga is bracing itself for tropical cyclone Ian to pass over. Tonga's Director National Emergency Office, Leveni Aho, told Radio New Zealand that disaster management committees have been activated in smaller districts. The cyclone is about 230 kilometers northwest of Vava'u. It now has average wind speeds of 157 kilometers, close to the center, with momentary gusts of up to 222 kilometers an hour. It was a Category 4 cyclone overnight. As its closest point, it is expected to pass close to the Vava'u and the Hapai group. But strong political winds have already claimed a casualty in the island kingdom. The country's finance minister, Lisiati Akolo, has been sacked after reportedly resisting pressure from the Prime Minister to resign. This was confirmed to Radio Australia by Tonga's Justice Minister Clive Edwards. Edwards says the minister was invited to submit his resignation by the 8th of January, but he refused, forcing the PM to dismiss him. Remember, if you'd like to view tonight's Fiji One News Bulletin, you can visit our website. That's at www.fijione.tv. You can also watch previous news bulletins, as well as our current affairs, business and sports shows. And in business news, the South Pacific Stock Exchange did not have any new listing in 2013. The SPSE hopes that incentives announced in the 2014 budget will entice more companies to list on the stock exchange.
Government in its 2014 national budget announced a reduction in corporate tax 18.5% to 10% for any listed company on South Pacific Stock Exchange. Months after this announcement, the SPSE is still shifting through expressions of interest from medium-sized businesses.
There are a number of companies that have been looking at only debt options when it came to expansion or their personal wealth or whatever the business was already generating as income to reinvest in the business. Now, with the reduced corporate tax rate of 10%, it has generated a lot of interest among these companies to look at another option which they have never thought about.
However, the stock exchange is optimistic about getting genuine interest this year. But it's not that simple. The process to actually get listed could take years.
There's a restructure involved, there's change in mindset of the people behind the business, the people running the business. There's converting the business from private to public in some cases and doing the prospectus, the book building. And this can actually take up to 2 to 3 years.
The SPSE hopes to list 3 companies this year. We asked Prasad why no listings were recorded last year.
The inconsistency of application, especially in terms of tax laws, when a company was to list. So that was one of the major factors that was deterring companies to consider listing on the stock market.
Before listing more companies, the SPSA also hopes to ensure that proper regulatory frameworks are in place. Halitesh Dutt, Fiji One News.
The South Pacific Stock Exchange is also looking at regional expansion this year in terms of company listings. So far, 18 local companies are listed on the stock market. Its only presence in the region is through the subsidies of these companies.
We've got a few challenges there as well in terms of exchange control, restrictions and tax laws and jurisdictional issues. But I think that'll be something also, the regional expansion, that we will be looking at closely with.
Negotiations are well underway with the Melanesian Spearhead Group. The SPSE says, however, this regional goal may take a while longer to achieve.
I don't think it would be achievable this year, but we will definitely make a lot of progress on the groundwork for it to actually happen in future.
Sports now with Drew, and Fiji Rugby defers announcement of CEO.
Yes, Vili, we're going to have to wait another week. That's coming up. Also in sport, experienced squad named for USA and Wellington Sevens. And Fiji FA eyeing bright start to the season.